Okay, today we're going to do some test cuts on a 2" by 0.65 wall. We're going to cut these at a 45 degree. We've got the saw set up here with the razor gauge measuring system. It's not ideal as it would be in your shop because the saw is still on the skid that it shipped with. The conveyor really isn't leveled or attached to the saw, which to get accuracy you would have to, the bracket would come with the saw to connect the conveyor right to the saw so everything can be homed in. And this is easy to set to calibrate so your cuts are bang on. So today we're close, but we're not exactly, just to get you a feel for how the machine works. So first you can home your razor gauge. You just push the button, the razor gauge is going to come home, and we've set the stop just short of the machine. So it's going to go to there. So now if we wanted to cut this piece, we can set this piece, let's go to 20 inches. And as you can see, it went back to 20 inches. We can slide our piece in, come back up against our stop. Now this one here, for doing the 45, that's the part we have here isn't quite long enough. So I'm just gonna bring this up to 15 inches. So we can come up against our stop now. Now we're gonna be in a position we can make the cut. So with the saw, it has a pneumatic vise. So you bring your clamps in until they're tight and then just back it off a little bit so you're able to slide your material back and forth. The way the saw is going to work is I'm going to hit the foot pedal. First thing you're going to see is the vise is going to close, the head's going to come down, it's going to make the cut, it's going to come back up, and the vise is going to open through a semi-automatic cycle. Again, for demonstration purposes, this machine has flood coolant. There's in the guard up here, there's a hose that comes through here that will put coolant directly onto your blade. For the purpose of this, I'm just going to use a little spray bottle just to give the blade some coolant. So to start it, our feed rate is set down here on this dial. I'm just going to shut the feed rate off because this is the first time we're cutting it. I'm just not sure where we're going to end up with the feed rate, but we'll set it on there. So to start, I'm going to hit my foot pedal. I've got this set on high speed because of the size of the wall. If it was something a little heavier wall, you can use the low speed. It's a 2-speed saw. So activate my foot pedal. You can see the vise closed, the blades come on, it's waiting to feed. The blade is quite a bit higher than the part. There is a limit switch that you can set for production where the blade, when it's done, will just clear your part. So we'll start our feed here. I'll give it a little bit of coolant. We'll come into the part. Head comes up, the vise opens. There's your cut part. Pretty much burr free. A little bit of a burr down there on the inside. Some of that can be fixed with the speed, but pretty much burr free. To set your angle on the saw, it's as simple as there's a locking mechanism here. Open your lock. There's a tab you push down. I'm just going to get out of the way here, and then we're just going to swing the head back into 90. And you'll see that tab locks back in at 90. We'll lock it in place. So again, if we were going to cut this part here, let's just spin it around. Again, I'm kind of eyeing this up, but we'll slide it in a little bit. I'll unlock the miter. Let's go to a 45. This time we'll miter it on a 45 on the opposite angle. There, you can see it locked in at a 45. Now, one thing you'll have to do when you're making this cut on the opposing 45, you'll notice that your vise jaws have to be adjusted for the 45. So in this case here, we got to slide the one jaw back out of the way of the cut. It's important that you hold your part on both sides of the cutoff side and the feed side. That's what helps eliminate the burr, because you don't get the drop off as it comes down. So we'll do that. We'll move our back jaw in here a little bit closer. And it looks like we'll have to slide this jaw back just a little bit to get it out of the way. We'll lock it back in. And now we're ready to make a 45 on the opposing angle. We've got our feed rate set. The vise is set, everything's done from before. So now I'm just gonna hit my foot pedal. It's going to come up, it opened up. There you go with your piece. Okay, so now we're going to cut an 1.25" 065 piece here that's been bent. I'm not sure exactly how this part will be oriented for cutting. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways to cut it using the stop system. So with the stop system, first off, we would have to make a longer stop piece here to catch the radius, but as you can see, that just bolts into the end of the extrusion here, so that's a very easy part that we could make longer to set your part in there at 90 degrees. The razor gauge is going to work the same way. You're going to enter your length that you want it to go to. You know, if we wanted it to be 12 inches, we just put in 12 and it's going to move to 12. So if you were orientating it that way, it would be as simple as putting in your part and bringing it back to the stop here, and then we're going to start the saw same way as we did on the other part. Again, this would have to be a little bit longer. The conveyor can be made with a flat table in here, so it's filled in between so your part won't fall down. You know, you can also orient it this way if you wanted to do it that way. You would have to make a stop to go on the end that would be vertical here to catch your part. So it just depends on how you want to cut it, how close you want to get in. If it's close to the bend you want to come in, we could cut it this way. If it's a little farther out, you can do this way. The only limitation I would see on cutting it using the gauge, if you were trying to get in very close, you probably would have to make this gauge vertical to be able to reach inside your jaws. It's adjustable back here, so you just might have to be creative on how you make the stop and how you get it in there, but I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work for you. All right, so we're going to take this part, we're going to set the saw up again. So we're going to bring our part in. We'll assume that this stop is a little bit longer, so we're going to come up to our stop. So we're going to bring our vise in until it clamps our part, and then we're just going to back it off again, just a partial turn. What we also can do this time is, let me just close off my feed rate, and I'll show you how we can set the upper limit switch again. So for here, I'm just going to start my saw. We'll feed it down. I'm going to stop it. Just a little bit above the part, and then I'll come back to the back of the saw where I can set the limit switch. So now our saw will stop there, so if you're doing production, it will speed up your time. So we'll just open up our feed rate here again. Again, very little or no burr on your part. We'll do another cut here that we can send back to you here on this cutoff part. So if you wanted to get in closer to your radius where you got it, you could mark your part, or again, you could make the stop to come in here. But we can just orientate the saw that way. Now that we've set it up, we're just going to hit our foot pedal. All right, thanks for watching the video. Hope this gets you the information you're looking for.